Welcome to Think Right About Your Resume, getting your thoughts together to create the perfect resume. My name is Stephanie Whitlow and I'm a technical writer, and yes, I'm currently looking for a position, so I know it's not fun looking for a job, especially when your resume has to be modified for each separate position you apply for. So I decided to change my mindset into a resume mindset. That is, to create a story. Stories are fun, creative, and interesting. I'm going to show you how to get into that resume mindset, what a recruiter sees when they look at your resume, how to write your own story, and create a database to make modifications easier. So, to help you get into the resume mindset, I have an activity for you. First of all, I want to mention the Ladder's job website conducted a study with 30 recruiters to see where they were reviewing when they looked at a resume. Turns out they only spent 6 seconds looking at a resume. I'm going to bump that time up to 10 seconds for our activity. Give your resume to someone else, just another pair of eyes to look it over. Set the timer for 10 seconds. Then after 10 seconds, ask your friend to turn the resume face down. What was the first thing they noticed? Could they tell immediately what your profession was? Did they notice any details? Well, here's what the recruiters from the study noticed. And the attention goes to name, current title and company, current position, start and end dates, previous title and company, previous position, start and end dates, and education. Recruiters spent 80% of their time on these things. Now that you've seen what recruiters look for, so make that part stellar, you will also need a good story for when they get past those filters. You will need a prologue, which is the work to be done before the action, a tagline, which is your objective, your mission statement, a synopsis, which is your summary, a plot, which will include your work history and any extras, and an epilogue, which is work to be done after the action, which in this case is the database for the resume. Keep in mind, your resume is your brochure, not your company's. Your company has their own marketing department. You need to be your own marketing department. You need to be CEO of Me, Inc. Ask yourself, what can I do better than anyone else? How can I brand myself? What is my specialty? And make a list of these things. Here are some examples of brands. You don't go to Godiva to get a Reese cup. And you know at Starbucks you're getting coffee with a 4-compound word name. No one would confuse football teams either. So now that you've done your legwork and you've created your brand and completed your prologue, now you can create your objective or your mission statement. This should be a 1 to 2 sentence paragraph. Make it memorable and it defines your purpose. Here are some examples of company mission statements. Microsoft, Nike, and Ford Motor Company. Here's some taglines from books. James Patterson and the classic J.A.R. Tolkien. Here's some tagline examples from movies. As you can see, I'm a science fiction fan. Taglines for your resumes may read something like one of these. And it should include your job title, a specific skill, function, or industry, and a simple statement of intent. For example, we have a marketing specialist with experience in client relations management who's continuing to look for a position in client relations management in industry. So with your branding and specialty in mind, you have written your mission statement, your objective, and now you can move on to your summary. This is you in 125 words or less, your key specialties, and more details about your brand. Think about it like a book jacket or a movie review you would read about in the entertainment section of the newspaper. It hooks the reader in 4 to 5 sentences, lures them in with action words, and excites them and makes them want to read more. Here are a few book examples. War of the Worlds, and another classic, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Here's a list of components that make up your story summary. It should include personal strengths, a description of your position, experience in a related position, benefits to the employer, your contribution to achieving that benefit. Keep thinking, what's in it for them? and add any unique details, technical skills, and motivating abilities. Here's an example of my summary as a tech writer. It's 67 words. It sums up my resume in 67 words. You can use these terms as a template if you like. Experienced, expertise, recognized, proficient. For example, expertise includes Java, C#, you're recognized for creating secure applications, and you're proficient in project management. Or you could be a dynamic writer who inspires end users to read the documentation. This I aspire to. So, you can also, after your summary paragraph, put in bullet points for outstanding achievements, such as Six Sigma Black Belt, PHR Certified, or security clearance. Remember, you have less than 10 seconds to impress. So now you have your specialties and brand defined to help you create a brief mission statement and a solid summary. Now you can move on to the plot of the story. This is the story of your characters. You are the hero here. And each job is like a chapter. What part did your characters play? Where does this chapter of the story take place? When does this chapter of the story take place? You need to put your job title first, followed by company, location, and dates. Here's an example of a chapter in the life of an HR professional. Use action words. Interviewed, reduced, revised, conducted. Don't use assisted with or worked with. Moving on to education. The plot thickens. What's special about these characters? The degree. Where they got their degree and the courses they took. What was their GPA? When did they graduate? I want to add here that if your GPA is 3.0 or greater, include it. If not, leave it off. If your graduation date is within the last 5 years, add it. If not, leave it off. We don't want to add anything to the resume that would date us. Moving on to the extras. This is what makes the hero dynamic or more active. What makes the hero special? Continuing education. Keep learning. Take a class. Enroll in your master's program at a local university. Take classes at the library. Or do an online tutorial. Affiliations in professional groups. I highly recommend joining professional organizations in your field. Networking is critical. You can keep up with the latest news in your industry, and you can get continuing education units, CEUs, which goes back to keep learning. Certifications. Shows you're an expert, and it's becoming more and more required as the job market gets harder and harder. Going back to professional organizations, they have study groups to help you get your certifications and may even offer discounts on the books and tests. Now that all the action is complete, you're ready to create the spin-off stories. Here's your epilogue. What you need now is a database of plot details. To get this all together, you need a Word and create a document with all the jobs you've had for the last 10 years. Include job titles with the company defined. What does XYZ company do in one line? Your tasks, action words, locations. Include phone numbers and physical address. Trust me, this will save you time later. Note your specialties and your brand information. Write 5 to 6 accomplishments and tell it as a story. Tell me a time when you had 2 managers who had the same deadline. There was a power outage and you got an off-site facility set up. You were the hero. These are your achievements. Now, once this is complete, you have a big database in Word in which you can pick and choose what information you need to add to a specific resume for a specific job. And with your stories, you're ready for the interview. Of note, be sure to have a 2-page resume already formatted so you can plug the database information into it when you need to. So now I've given you the details on how to have a resume mindset, which is to tell a story, with your tagline, your summary, and an action-filled plot. You know you have less than 10 seconds to impress a recruiter, and you now have the story to fascinate them enough to call you in for an interview, because stories are fun, creative, and interesting. Well, the end of the story is not the end of the work. You still have publication requirements. Good design is obvious. Great design is transparent. This means if you use big, bold blue headings, that's all they'll notice, not your work. We want them to notice your work. So use good design by using Times New Roman and 12-point font. Make it a chronological resume, last job first, etc. Putting your contact information at the top to be easily seen and using a professional email address. No fuzzybunny@aol.com. Keep your resume at 2 pages if you can. Create a doc version, as I mentioned before, and a text version. To create a text version, all you have to do is File, Save As, select Plain Text from the Save As type drop-down box, and you have a text version. Use action words and keywords. Your action words do not include worked with or assisted. It is, for example, interviewed, created, produced, keywords. Use your keywords. These are found in the job description. Ask yourself constantly, why should someone hire me? What's in it for them? Think of it as a service to your prospective employer. Don't use subjective text. I've been guilty of this myself. Exceptional communication skills right here. Don't say it, prove it in the resume. Walk the talk, so to speak. Easy reading is damn hard writing. Yes, the burden is on you to make your story a page-turner. After you've written a stellar story, the only thing that can pull you off the bestseller list is the Applicant Tracking System, or ATS. Here are some things that trap you in the ATS system. No keywords. As I mentioned before, get them from the job description. Use the words that the employer uses. Job turnover. If you've had 10 jobs in 3 years, that could pull you off the list. Your education level. If they advertise for a bachelor's and you have an associate's, that could pull you out of the running. If you have a bachelor's and they're advertising for associates, that could also pull you out as well. It's not exactly what they're looking for. If they advertise for $45K and you're making $100K, that could pull you out. Salary range. If they advertise for $45K and you're making $100K, that can pull you out. Years of experience. They call for 3 years and you have 20, that would disqualify you. The position may pay $45K and they think someone with 20 years wouldn't work for $45K. Conversely, they may be advertising for 20 years of experience and you only have 3. Function or industry. If I'm a tech writer applying to be a helicopter pilot, more than likely I will be booted out of the system. Posting as a PDF. Post as a text or a doc. PDFs are not read. Tables and graphs, not read. Don't add them in your resume. Incorrect headings. Use the headings the job description uses. Instead of using key components as a heading, use work history. Dates first. Put your job title first, then company. Those are the things they're searched for most. And if you keep to these, you'll make it through the ATS. They'll read your story. Now, any questions? If you do have any questions, please feel free to email me at swhitlow@vitalva.com. That's my website. I do have some acknowledgments or some citings here at the end. Most of my research was conducted using these sites, and I highly recommend you check them out. You can find everything from the latest job tips to branding to free cover letter reviews. And I thank you for reviewing my presentation, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future.